Hi, welcome to Bloodhouse, the show where we talk about art house horror movies. I'm your host, Joshua Conkle.
And I'm your mysterious, possibly vampiric neighbor, Priscilla, and welcome to another episode of Bloodhouse. Hey, Josh, how are you doing?
Yay! I am great. It's getting cooler in Los Angeles. October is over, so it's more peaceful. I started work again post-strike, so
Thank God. And as of this recording, the SAG strike is tentatively over.
It is over for the most. I mean, they have to ratify the deal, but they will because I've heard it's like the WGA deal. I've heard it's like a historically good deal with really great deal points. So I imagine that they will ratify it. And yeah, it finally feels like everything is falling into place for once. It's been a rough 3 years because of the pandemic and then strike. It's just been really rough. So I'm feeling really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I'm feeling pretty fucking great. I have had a very, very, very productive point. I'm selling Kier posters on my site. They finally came in. They look great.
Gorgeous.
They're flying off the shelf like hotcakes at the moment. I had to go buy more. I had to go buy more tubes to ship them out of. So,
ooh. Well, listen, how can people buy them? Let's plug it right now.
If you go to my website, sisterhydedesign.com, SISTERHYDEE. Oh my good lord. DESIGN. There's a shop, and then it's that. They're $35. They are original screen prints. They look gorgeous. There's a little stamp beautiful of authenticity on the back. They're all hand numbered and signed, and they look great. And I've been doing a lot more music work like that. So hopefully there'll be more stuff like that coming into my shop soon. I never really had one before. I've never really dabbled much into this, and people seem very, very, very excited about all of it. And I'm fucking in love with it. This is a super fun side of my job that I've never gotten to dabble in, and I am a little addicted.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'm looking at mine right now. I have the purple one, which I will take to the framers soon. It's really beautiful. I grew up, of course, loving The Cure. Like any good queer Gen X-y person. I loved The Cure, and I still do. And I can't wait to put this in a frame and throw it up somewhere.
Yeah, I can't wait. I hope people enjoy them. They're shipping out right now, so people who have ordered them will be getting them by the time this episode is out. And if you're listening to this, there might still be a few left. And once those sell out, the pink variants will be available, so that'll be super fun.
Oh, you're doing purple and then pink?
Yeah, I have to wait to sell the pink ones contractually, but they'll be out soon.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Have you been up to anything cool, like watching any good movies or anything like that?
Yeah, I've gotten a really great handle on my life now. After changing jobs and a lot of weird flux and still calming down after we're getting up to the 1 year anniversary of me having surgery and stuff like that. So everything is starting to fall back into place. Things are starting to shuffle out really nicely. And I've gotten a really good schedule for myself where I'm able to take care of myself. I'm able to do the work I need to do efficiently and well at a quality that I'm proud of, and then be able to separate myself, take care of my house, take care of myself, and then be able to carve in time to go watch movies. My partner and I are doing what we can to watch primarily art house films for the majority of the winter. November through January, we're just going as many art house movies as we can to enrich ourselves. And so I finally watched one that's been on my list from the 1970s for fucking years, since I was in college, if not before. Directed by Joseph Losey, and starring the painfully attractive Alain Delon, Mr. Klein.
Oh yeah, I've always wanted to see this too, but I haven't.
It's super fucking good. It's a little on the harrowing side near the end. It's very Kafka-esque. It's based... So it's a fictitious story, but it's based around real events in France during the Vichy government and the Nazi occupation of World War II. And Alain Delon, who's so goddamn beautiful, who's in Le Samurai and Le Cercle Rouge and Purple Noon.
Is he the guy from...
He's on a Smiths album cover.
I was going to ask if he was the guy from Umbrellas of Cherbourg.
No.
Okay.
No, he's not in any of those Jacques Demy movies. But if you saw, like, he's like the most painfully attractive like man of like French cinema ever, maybe.
Okay.
He's gorgeous. If he's in La Piscine, the swimming pool. Yeah. He's like dummy hot. He's great. He plays a like art dealer in this during the Nazi occupation of World War II, who is like scamming Jewish refugees out of their like cherished family like portraits and things that they've had for like generations for like pennies on their actual amount, and then selling them and making like a lavish life for himself during Nazi occupied France, until he finds out that there is suspiciously appears to be another man who has the same name as him, who happens to be Jewish and is having like Jewish pamphlets sent to his house. And so he goes on this obsessive Kafka-esque like descent into that era and that time, and into his own like identity, into like, who is this other person? Is someone framing me? What the fuck is going on? And everyone's like, what's the big deal? Why is that a problem for you? And it gets really fucked up really fast. It was originally supposed to be directed by Costa Gavras, who had made Z. Okay. And it went on to make Missing with Sissy Basic and stuff. Who's a great like political like thriller director, and has a lot of that vibe to it still. Joseph Losey made The Servant, which is a super, again, a horny, like kind of surreal mindfuck of a movie. And this is in that kind of territory. It's really, really, really good. It's streaming on the Criterion Channel.
Okay.
Highly recommend it. The final scenes and the opening scenes as well are very upsetting. And it is very much a movie about being on the ground at like the middle of a genocide. So if that's a little too on the nose for you right now, I understand.
It's really hard for me to work myself up to watching World War II movies as much as I usually love them when I do. You know, like we covered later recently, which I loved very much. I don't know. Holocaust movies are a hard ask, but they're often so good. So
yeah, this one is like truly like top tier, 10 out of 10, one of the most impactful, powerful movies of that era. It caused a big scandal when it was released in France in the 70s for how much it shows the French government of the 1940s as being complicit in the Holocaust, which they fucking were. It's really, really, really powerful. I highly recommend it if you have the again, most of that tough, harrowing stuff doesn't happen to the last 10 minutes of the movie. The rest of it is like a great, like Hitchcockian and Kafka-esque thriller of paranoia up until then, but it really throws the hammer down.
Do you know what World War II movie I'm due for a rewatch on? Weirdly, I was obsessed with this movie as a teenager when I was like maybe in 9th grade or 10th grade, is Europa, which I watched like 50 times when I was a teenager because I think honestly because I thought the boy was cute. I feel like in my memory you see his dick in the movie. But I thought he was so cute and I really loved it.
The Agnieszka Holland film, the Polish one?
With Julie Delpy. As like a young Nazi,
I haven't seen that one. I always confuse it with the Lars von Trier movie Europa, which also came out in the 90s.
Probably very different, I assume.
Very different. I made the mistake of showing that one to my partner a few months ago, and like up until that point, she had been like, we'd been together for a while and like even known each other for longer than that, and she was like, Drew's the best. Like whenever she shows me anything, it's like I never know what it is, and like I always love it. It's so impressive. And then I showed her that movie, and she was like, "You missed. It took you 3 years, and you finally missed. I could not fucking take that movie." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. I thought it's really beautiful, and Udo Kier is awesome in it."
Udo Kier's awesome in everything, though. He's amazing.
He's daddy, truly
daddy. Well, I got invited to an early screening of a new movie that isn't out yet, but will be by the time this airs. And I know that you went to a separate early screening, and we have very different opinions of this movie. So I thought it would be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
I am, of course, talking about the sophomore effort by writer-director Emerald Fennell, Saltburn, which I was really excited to see because, unlike you, I loved Promising Young Woman when I saw it.
Fucking hated Promising Young Woman.
Exactly.
If this is a shock to anyone listening, I fucking hate that movie with a vengeance, like a fiery passion. Do I want to take Promising Young Woman? I want to take every print and I'm going to light them on fire.
I loved it, but I have to say now, after Saltburn, I like it a little bit less because I think I'm like retroactively taking some of my affection away from it. Because
it's funny.
All the things it does are accidental, and you loved Saltburn, right?
I loved Saltburn to the point that I was like, okay, I have to watch this movie. I have to watch this movie. But it's her. That's gonna fucking suck. She sucks so much because that movie, Promising Woman's terrible. But I was like, okay, but it's Barry Keogh and it's Jacob Elordi and it's Richard E. Grant. Great cast. All right, fine. And then my jaw was on the floor for the majority of the movie, and then by the time it ended, I was like applauding, and I was like, this rocks. This is the best. I love this so much.
Well, it's like camp. I kind of liked the first half of it when it's like a class satire a little bit. It's about a working class boy who makes friends with a very, very wealthy aristocratic boy and goes home to his palace called Saltburn, and it's just like he's bumping up against the upper crust of England, and all of that's like kind of fun. But then the back half of it, when it becomes like a thriller sort of murder, not a murder mystery, it's not really a mystery, what's happening, but like a thriller, I just thought it really flopped, and it was like super campy, very badly paced. It felt like she needed to draw everything from the second half like closer into the first half, so it felt like a consistent, cohesive movie that had been revised once or twice.
I thought it was consistent and cohesive from the jump. From the moment the movie started, I was anticipating murders and stuff like that.
I was too, but then they didn't come until near the end, and it's like, you need to draw this out, girl.
To me, it felt super connected to Gothic literature and to Gothic filmmaking of like early David Lean stuff in the 1940s, and like a more subversive take on like Alfred Hitchcock movies from around that era. And we should also note that this is a period movie set in the mid 2000s,
set in like 2003. So if you want
like a Blur song and stuff like that, this has you.
The music is good. It's like Libertines and stuff like that. Yeah, it's super fun. I don't know. I liked it okay. I just really didn't. Here's the thing. I don't think that she's competent. And I think that she has people fooled. Do you know what I mean? Like the movie, like I was like, God, the movie looks so beautiful. But then like, that's what money gets you, isn't it? Like she's a rich British girl. People are dying to throw opportunities at her. I feel like these scripts have not been revised at all. Like it feels
it's
like
executive produced by Margot Robbie.
Yes. So I don't know. I just don't think she's competent.
I loved it. There's a bathtub scene I will never forget. There's a gravesite scene I will never forget. There's an end dance scene I will never forget.
The end dance scene is great. And the images that you're mentioning are great, but they're shallow in the writing, and it feels like completely unearned and out of left field. And I just didn't think it was a competent movie on the page.
I mean, I will give you that. I think the final maybe like 15-20 minutes are a little fast.
That's what I mean by like she needs to draw that out. Like she needs to take some of that energy and pull it closer towards the front of the film so it feels like smoother.
See, I would have preferred, my only critique is that I would prefer the end of the film be drawn out longer rather than drawn closer to the front. I would have preferred it that way. If at all,
okay too, but you would have to cut from the beginning, which is fine too.
Or you just make it a 3-hour movie.
True.
I think Richard E. Grant's performance is incredible. He is able to turn on a dime in this movie in a way that's really scary.
He's great. Rosamund Pike is great in this too.
And she hasn't had a big role like this in like 10 years. It's very exciting to see. I will say people that are Promising Young Woman fans are going to hate this movie. And people who are excited to see Carey Mulligan Is that who was in Promising? Yeah.
Who's
who
wonderful in this. In her
she's wonderful
role.
in this, but she's barely in this. So if you're like, the new Carey Mulligan movie, you're going to be very disappointed.
I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's a great small role. I mean, it's meaty enough that it's like pretty delicious.
Yeah. She at least like, she's in some montages at least that are super fun. Yeah. I think the movie works. I think it works like gangbusters. I think it does what it needs to do well. I think it pulls the rug out from under you appropriately. And I don't know. I don't think it's shallow. I think it has a lot going on. And I think rhythmically, stylistically, and pacing wise, it is more in line with like pre-1960s British Gothic cinema than it is. I feel like if you'd drawn the murders up sooner and more of that stuff, it at the beginning of the movie, it would have been closer to like a 1970s like giallo film and stuff, which is fine and would be cool, but that's not what this is. I think this movie is intentionally like resting its like structure and architecture on like 1800s and 1700s literature and 1930s and 40s British filmmaking. And I think that is intentional, and I think it rocks, and I think it helps the movie.
I guess I disagree with you there because I no longer believe that she is someone who knows those references. I don't believe she is saying what she thinks she's saying in either of these movies. That's why I mean, like, I retroactively took some of my affection for
Promising Young Woman. I definitely don't think that the ending of Promising Young Woman earns what it thinks it earns. A million percent.
I think
yeah. I think Promising Young Woman is a like actively regressive movie.
That's kind of how I feel about this movie too. Like, I have a lot of class hangups because I grew up very poor, and I think this movie has pretty shitty things to say about class too. And I also don't like to be sanctimonious about things. Like, the people that hated Promising Young Woman so much, I thought in a lot of cases were just being like sort of sanctimonious about it. But now I'm not sure anymore, because I felt that way about this movie, and now I'm sort of starting to retroactively think that about Promising Young Woman too.
Listen, so. I will also say I never publicly like hopped on Twitter and was like, Promising Young Woman bad, and here why. Because a lot of people who were saying things negative about the movie were getting like attacked, and I was like, I don't need that shit. Like, I think this movie's dog shit, and that's fine. I don't need people I know or don't know on Twitter yelling at me for disagreeing about art. Totally. I don't need that shit. I don't think Saltburn is going to cause that level of discourse. I think that's what the marketing team wants it to do. I think like young TikTok millennials and Gen Zers are going to watch this movie and have a lot of fun with it and be blown away by it.
But that's because they don't have any class analysis, and that's part of the problem. Like, nobody talks about class. Nobody thinks about it. No one's trained to talk about it the way that we are. Racism, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, all those things that we talk about all the time. We don't have that same conversation about class, and we should. And that this movie just was a reminder of that for me.
That's fair.
And it's different in the UK than it is here. If anything, class is talked about there in a way that it's not here. So it's like a lost in the pond kind of thing. But yeah, I didn't like it. And I thought it would be fun to talk about. And I think it was fun to talk about.
I think it's a fun movie. I think it's far more successful in its themes than you do. I think people should see it. I think people will enjoy it. I think it's good.
I am no longer... never mind.
Go ahead. Say it, coward.
I think this industry, our industry, and some other industries too, publishing does this too. They are really hyped for like a young, beautiful genius. And like, if it's a beautiful, blonde, rich, white girl, everyone is like running to give that girl every opportunity because she's pretty and cool seeming. They call it the lit girl in books. And sometimes that person is not worthy of all of the opportunities that they're given. It's always someone who's rich. It's always someone who's pretty, like conventionally pretty. It's always someone who's young. And it just happens over and over and over again. You see it at Sundance every year. There's a whole crop of these girls. And it's complicated because we need more women filmmakers. And there is sexism and misogyny. And yet the kind of woman filmmaker who's given opportunities is always this person. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And maybe it's my own personal issues, but it's just like...
It's a weird sticking point. And honestly, Saltburn and Promising Young Woman don't feel like they were made by the same filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this conversation, it's interesting. I don't see Emerald Fennell through either of those movies. They both feel like the results of their producers or the results of their, like, I don't know.
That kind of gets to my point too, though, which makes it sort of feels to me after seeing these two movies that she's a director without a point of view of the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, or like a flimsy point of view that can be manipulated or directed by other people.
The only through line to these movies that I can see that connects them is like a music video aesthetic of like montage set to pop songs.
They both use music really well, and they
use them masterfully, like there with like Edgar Wright and Martin Scorsese. Like they use them very, 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 very well. The music supervising in Saltburn is phenomenal, and the editing in Saltburn is phenomenal, and the acting in Saltburn is phenomenal. Barry Keogh is incredible. Jacob Elordi is incredible. Also, kudos to Jacob Elordi's agent for booking him in Priscilla and this immediately after Euphoria and getting him he's truly taking a Robert Pattinson route right now and getting himself out of teen dream and into art house boy.
He's
crushing it. And he's so incredible in Priscilla as Elvis.
I can't wait to see that. I'm really excited to see that.
I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but I fucking loved Priscilla. It's so good. It's
really good. I love Sofia Coppola. Speaking of a pretty rich girl director that got a lot of opportunities. Yeah. I love her. I think she's incredible.
Priscilla's her best movie since Marie Antoinette.
Wow. Okay, great.
Hands down. It's up there with Virgin Suicides and Marie Antoinette for me.
Great.
It's very exciting to see her back in form. Well, speaking of British people talking about class.
Yes. Today, we are watching a movie that is new to me. It is from 1990. It is written and directed by Philip Ridley. It is The Reflecting Skin.
Sometimes terrible things happen quite naturally.
Look at its skin. Yeah. Quick, she's coming.
Are you a Scarecrow's son?
No.
I was hoping you were. We'll be seeing you. Would you like that?
So you'd seen this before, right? Or had you not?
I had just watched this, and I watched it for the first time while taking a bubble bath, because that is the kind of elegant bitch that I am.
I'm seeing Margot Tenenbaum with the TV tied to the radiator.
Yeah.
You manipulating it with your toes.
Yeah. Exactly like that. My one false finger hitting the side of the tub. Yeah, I was looking for something to watch, and it was on Peacock, and I was like, okay, this I've heard a lot about this movie. I think I used to have it on VHS, and it was one that it had this cachet of being a big 90s art movie that got lost in the shuffle, and over the years horror fans have brought it back to a degree, which surprised me because I'd always seen it as a Terrence Malick light movie. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know where it would land. And Philip Ridley had only made 2 or 3 other movies after this. So this was his first movie, and it didn't spawn a giant career. So I was always I don't know about that. And so I finally put it on just because I was something slower and cozy would feel very nice right now. It's a very brisk 90 minutes. And immediately while watching it, I was we should do this on Bloodhouse.
Yeah.
Because this is a very good movie with some very beautiful imagery, some very wild choices that's getting at some very interesting ideas and doesn't stick the landing. And I really want to talk about it.
Yeah, well, going through the Wikipedia and the Letterboxd, I think a lot of people would disagree that it doesn't stick the landing. It seems to be very well loved.
It seems to be very well loved. The majority of the reviews from friends of mine on Letterboxd are all like 5 stars or 4 stars, and then like 2 people gave it like 1 star, and I was like, oh, interesting. Let's get this out of the way. I like this movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think this movie is very good. It lands, like, if we're using like the letterbox of it all, it's gonna land at like a 4.5 maybe for me.
Mm-hmm.
It might do better when I see it more. I've been recommending it to friends that I think will like it. I don't dislike this movie. I like this movie, but it has flaws that I feel are both like first time filmmaker flaws, 90s independent film flaws,
Mm-hmm.
and like expatriate directing a movie about a different country flaws that I think are really interesting.
Yeah, the British American thing is really interesting. Philip Ridley is British. He's from the east side of London. And this he describes as like a mythological interpretation of a childhood summer in America, which he imagined, right? Because he was British. And so it's filmed in Canada, but set in kind of like Iowa or the plains somewhere, in the 50s. And it's
like Dust Bowl America.
Yeah, a little bit after the Dust Bowl historically, but that's the aesthetic. It's like truly channeling Dennis Hopper paintings and like, mid-century
Edward Hopper.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know what I said. Dennis Hopper? Is that what I said?
Motorcycles.
Thank you. Edward Hopper, not Dennis Hopper. So it's channeling all of that. It's extremely beautiful. It's purposely an interpretation of his idea of like an American childhood in the 1950s in rural America, because he's being influenced by like old movies and paintings and things like that. So that aspect of it I thought was really interesting. Synopsis wise, I guess, since I'm already talking, this movie follows a little boy whose name is Dennis, is that right? Seth. It's a little boy named Seth.
Seth Dove.
The 50s, and like they live on a dilapidated farm. It's him, his very high-strung mother, his like very shy father who owns a garage, and then his older brother, played by Viggo Mortensen, is away at the war and is kind of being worshipped at home like some sort of hero. And Seth has 2 little friends, and one day one of them disappears, and they quickly pin it on a neighbor woman who's like an English widow who Seth believes to be some kind of vampire. And help me out here. I'm kind of losing my track.
Meanwhile, the local police and townsfolk blame the friend's disappearance on Seth's father, who they claim is a pedophile because they caught him in a gay kiss years ago.
Many years before.
Yeah. Many years before Seth or his brother were born, and he was forced into a sham marriage with Seth's high-strung mother as a result of this. But now he has a stigma on his back for being closeted by the sheriff, who is like, a boy disappeared. Well, I know who got a taste for more. And it's like, oh yeah, gay equals pedophile, because this is rural 1950s Kansas. Yeah. Awesome.
He also meets sort of like a black Cadillac full of greaser boys who say, we'll see you soon. And they seem to represent something. We also go and confront the vampire English widow lady who does tell him she's 200 years old, but she seems to be kind of teasing him. And they're always like torturing her. So there's a lot of like things in the mix here.
When Viggo Mortensen's character comes back from the war and another child has disappeared, he starts to develop a relationship with the English widow, whose name is Dolphin Blue.
That reveal was crazy to me. I was like, let me just rewind that and make sure I heard her name right. Because she says she's English, right? So she has an accent, and he's like, your accent sounds so good when you say my name. Say your name. And then she goes, Dolphin Blue. And I was like, what? Is that really her name?
Did you say Daphne Blake? No, Dolphin Blue. Got it. Cool.
Got it.
Well, she married into the name Blue, so her name could have been like Dolphin Montgomery, and you would have been like, ah, yes, Dolphin Montgomery. That's not a weird name at all.
Could have been Horowitz for all we know. Yeah, so interesting. Also, she's a widow because her husband, she tells the kids, hung himself a week after they got married for reasons that we never discover.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a very tragic
Seth's
figure.
father also commits suicide by self-immolation at his gas station after being accused of being a pedophile. And despite the fact that the disappearances continue after his death, doesn't shake the sheriff's mind that the father is the one who is guilty. The sheriff is also a kooky fucking character who's
missing ear and a fake eye, an eye patch because of animal attacks. And this movie has so much symbolism that you couldn't cut through it with a machete. I mean, like, it's really, really, everything is symbolic.
It sounds like it could either be super kooky, like kind of like Arsenic and All Lace kind of comedy, or it sounds like it could be like a really like tense, snappy Hitchcock thriller, like the Henry, Trouble with Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be something like that, but instead it's paced more like Days of Heaven. Or Badlands, when there's like early 70s Terrence Malick movies where you get like a lot of wide vista shots, some like poetic narration. The one that this actually reminded me the most of closely is John Huston's film from the late 70s. That's an adaptation of not E.M. Foster, but what's her name?
Edith Wharton?
No, later, more contemporary, like later than that, she was a Southern author, Weyes Blood.
Weyes Blood, I know as a band. I don't know that as an author.
Okay, no, it's a book.
Oh,
okay, and that's Flannery O'Connor.
Flannery O'Connor.
Yes,
got it. I've never read Flannery O'Connor.
You would love Flannery. It's very gothic. Yeah. This reminds me a lot of Flannery O'Connor, and it was specifically John Huston's adaptation of her book Weyes Blood from the 70s with Harry Dean Stanton and Chucky, fucking
Brad
Dourif, yeah, which is an incredible movie, but it's also one in which people find a like malformed like carcass or fetus and is like, this is a religious icon, and you're like, great,
interesting, what a parallel.
Yeah, very similar vibe, very similar like fates of characters and like wild swings of humor into depravity, into death and tragedy, all with a kind of like wide-eyed view of the world.
Yeah, there is some like real melodrama in this, and I think it's doing it on purpose. Some like sort of weird humor,
Lynchian kind of over-the-top performances.
Thank you. Yes, because that's who I thought of. I thought of David Lynch, and you know who agreed with me is Roger Ebert, who loved this and said, quote, "It reminded me of Blue Velvet and the other works of David Lynch, but I think it's better. It's not really about America at all.
Ebert hates that.
It's about nightmares, and I'm not easily going to forget it." Yeah, so he loved this and preferred it to Lynch. I don't prefer this to Lynch, for the record.
I don't prefer this to Lynch. This feels like a film student who watched Lynch and was like, I got it.
Yeah. What I was saying to you last night when we saw each other was that I really loved the writing in this. And Philip Ridley, it turns out, is a playwright and an author as well. And this, in some ways, I felt like has a better script than it is a movie. You know what I mean? Like, I think maybe he's a stronger writer than he is director, because I think the performances kind of feel all over the place to me. Like, different actors feel like they're in different movies. The main actor, the little boy, I'm sorry to say, doesn't really quite feel up to the task, and that weighs this down a little bit.
I think for the most part, he's like doing good enough. He's giving like B+, but in the final 10 minutes, he's falls short of what's asked of him, which is like, he's a child actor. Like, it's really, really tough. But I also feel like the sheriff is in a completely different movie than everyone else. I think the performance dichotomy between the mother and father is great and very intentional.
Both of them are really good.
The father is so tragic of a character. The mother is also very tragic. She kind of like fades into the background as the film continues, which is very sad. Viggo Mortensen is really the standout performance here,
for sure.
But I think you're right. One of the issues with this movie is Philip Ridley's script is incredible. The cinematography is incredible. The DP is Dick Pope, who is like one of the best British cinematographers ever. He shot the majority of like Mike Leigh's movies, which like gorgeous shocker.
Movies, yeah.
But I feel like had Dick Pope still shot it and we used Philip Ridley's script and like the majority of the cast still been there with a different director, maybe making different casting choices and also giving different like working with the actors in a different way, I feel like this would be a like 10-star movie.
Like, no, it feels very directed in the composition of each frame. Like it looks beautiful, but it just to me feels like the actors didn't receive enough direction.
It feels like we have great words, we have great ideas, and we have great images and settings, but we're not like bringing it to life properly in a way that works. But I still loved it as like a beautiful oddity and oddful experience. So much happens, and it's one of those movies where you're both like cringing from the screen and also leaning in to see what the fuck is going to happen next. There's a point where there's a lot of like discussion of angels, and there's a lot of like mythos that these children are like developing themselves, almost like yes-anding while they're hanging out, being like, well, I heard this and you're wrong because my uncle's cousin said this. And they find a stillborn fetus in a barn.
Inside of a wasp's nest, I think.
Yeah. And Seth, the main boy, immediately declares, oh, that's our friend who disappeared. He became an angel. And he got stuck down on here on Earth. We should go and he like takes him home and like puts it in a box under his bed, and it's like crawling with maggots.
It's really weird.
It's so fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like the Eraserhead baby.
Eventually his other friend disappears too, only he witnesses it, and it's the black...
He watches it happen.
It's the black Cadillac full of greasers that pull over and like snatch the boy, and so you come to think that Cadillac represents like childhood death or something like that. I really loved the opening of this where the three little boys are in the field playing, and they find a big bullfrog, and
oh god,
they stick a reed in its anus and blow it up so it's like puffed up, and they leave it in the road for the English widow to come upon as she's walking home, and when she gets close to it they shoot it with a BB gun so it explodes blood all over her. It's very evocative scene.
It's insane.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Of course it's horrible. I'm sure that they didn't really kill a bullfrog. It looks cool. It like really reflects the theme of like innocence versus violence that's going on here, or like the end of innocence. And I just thought it was such a cool opener.
There's a question of innocence in that opening scene and in a lot of scenes throughout this movie in Seth's behavior, because we want to view him with childlike innocence. Like a lot of things are shielded from him. A lot of things he's having to like find out on his own. Yet his inherent nature is like wildly mean and masochistic and violent. At one point, he leads another friend to break into Dolphin Blue's house, who they believe is a vampire.
Yeah.
And she's already had a heart-to-heart discussion with this boy about being a widow and being a stranger in this town, and having a hard time. And he's like, comes back like a week later with his friend and is like, let's trash the place.
Yeah, he's kind of an asshole. I mean, it's sort of a fuck them kids movie, really.
It honestly kind of was a fuck them kids movie. And meanwhile, Viggo Mortensen shows back up from war, and it seems like now that the father's dead, he's going to help take care of things, but Viggo Mortensen wants to leave town. He wants to start a new life. He's falling in love with Dolphin Blue. Yet also, Viggo Mortensen says that he was like involved in some heinous activity in the Pacific Theater during World War II and after the war, and is showing like cancer symptoms.
Yeah.
After returning home from the war that he doesn't understand, no one else understands, and that his younger brother believes is Dolphin Blue vampirically sucking his life, and it's just so upsetting.
Pretty brutal. He does show his little brother also a photo of a baby that is sick from napalm, is it? Or
yeah,
something like that. And it's
Agent Orange, or
yeah,
I think Agent Orange
one of those.
in the 70s,
that's
but
a Vietnam thing, but whatever they used in World War II. And I think it's a real photo, and it's really upsetting.
It's really upsetting, and it's like it's a weird like 3-card Monty situation, because he lays that out, and then he lays out a card of like a nude woman, nudie. Or like a woman, like a pinup,
yeah,
and then the other one is like a villager or something like that, or it was a photo of him, and then he keeps like sliding them around into different orientations, into different orders, and kind of like building a little narrative out of them, and it's so weird, and it's so depressing, and it's so fucked up. It's so strange.
I kind of was rooting for the big brother every time like he pushed the little boy down and yelled at him. I was on his side, because the little brother keeps like cock blocking him and things like that. And he's really just kind of annoying because the performance isn't good. So I was like Team Viggo for like push that kid down in the dirt.
I was Team Viggo for skip town, take your girl, get away from here. Like,
while you still can.
Even one. So this is we're getting into what's very frustrating about the movie. Is near the end when the second friend has been abducted, and Seth watched it happen, and has had run-ins with this like car of greasers before. Like, he's harangued by the police and the mother of the child who disappeared about what happened to them, and he just says nothing.
Yeah.
And then lies too and says, I didn't see anything, I don't know what happened.
It might be fine if it were a different actor too. I don't know. Because I can believe that a child wouldn't understand how to process that and thus would just not say anything, I guess. But
yeah, if he was expressing more like fear to the point that he seemed afraid to say something like that, I would buy it. But instead he just came off like a petulant little fucking brat. Right. And I was like, I'm gonna beat this out of you until you go fucking tell these people what you saw, you piece of shit.
Yeah. And to your point, kind of, I don't remember the ending of this, and I watched it yesterday. Like, I don't remember the last 10 minutes of this.
Yeah. Another very upsetting thing, and both just narratively about the movie and about his character, is that he then watches Dolphin Blue get in the same car with these greasers.
Right.
And then her body is found not long after, which breaks Viggo Mortensen's heart. And then he just kind of like walks off alone, Seth.
I do love the idea of a car full of greasers representing death. That's great.
Yeah. I think that's incredible. I think that's like because it's both like modernism, because they initially, when we see them coming into town, everything is so like desolate and like no one's coming to his father's gas station. So like a more modern car with teenagers, but we never see teenagers at any other point in this movie. And it's also worth noting that the idea of a teenager, like, and that phrase was invented in the 1950s after World War II.
Yeah.
Because it was either you were a kid and then you were a man and you went, like, you had a job, you went off to war. But in that, like, gap period where we had economic boom, that's when the suburbs were developed, and that's when the concept of a teenager was developed, because, like, now you can be 16, 17, and you can have freedom, you can have a car, you can have a little bit of spending money, you can have, like, a little life of your own before you have to, like, start a separate life. And so it was a very weird time, and people at that time had a lot of fear around teenagers. There was all those, like, worries of teenage riots, and the Blackboard Jungle was a big movie. There was like teenagers and rock and roll. And that stuff rocks. And so like having this, especially from a child's view of like aspiring to be a teenager, aspiring to like be rolling into town and having friends and all this stuff, and this kind of promise of modernity and like progress, because this movie is set in the 50s, but it's still like the world around them still feels like the 20s or 30s.
Yeah, because it's so rural. There's also something about the car itself, which is so American and is so tied up in our mythology. And at the, in the 50s and 60s, you had a whole genre, but people forget this, or some younger people might not know, but there was a whole genre of pop song that was about kids dying in car accidents. And there were like dozens of them, like Dead Man's Curve, Leader of the Pack, like all of these sort of like dramatic story songs about someone who wasn't careful enough driving and died. And so it's like this idea of like youth and death tied together through the car in the American mythology.
It's really powerful. I think there's a lot of very, very good ideas in this. Similar to Saltburn, I feel like the director isn't doing enough here, but is working with some very strong themes. I think the themes come across, and the themes and ideas in this movie are a lot more varied and a lot stronger than those in Saltburn that we were talking about a little bit earlier. But I feel like similarly, it's just not pulling them over the finish line to like get to that final idea and leave you with something strong. I think this movie, again, like Saltburn, leaves you with evocative images. And leaves you with very interesting ideas, but it doesn't leave you with a singular, super strong theme other than like the death of innocence, which is like pretty vague. So I think this movie is very interesting. One of the things I find the most interesting about it is the vampirism. Like in the narrative, because part of the reason I watched this was because it was cataloged on Peacock as a vampire movie.
Oh, that's probably frustrating to someone who's really looking for a vampire movie.
Because this is not it.
No.
But I also love movies like this, so I was like, I kind of knew that's what this was before going in, so I was like, vampires, the fuck. But like, at like. One of my favorite lines in this movie is when Seth first learns about vampires because his dad is reading a comic book about vampires.
Yeah, his dad like loves pulp novels,
which is so cool.
Yeah,
and he asks his dad what he's reading, and he like vaguely describes vampires to his son, and his son goes, "Oh, are there any around here, Dad?" And then his dad kind of stops for a second and says, "I haven't noticed any."
Well, and then Dolphin Blue like kind of confirms it in the kid's mind because she tells him she's 200 years old. She's joking, I think, but so he really is like, oh, she admitted it. To me, the best thing about this movie is the cinematography. Oh, I'm sorry, were you gonna say more?
I was just gonna say I think it's very interesting that the child's biggest one like fantasy fear in this movie is vampirism. It feels very European. It's not very American.
Yeah.
Of a fear. I feel like most American like childhood fears are, someone breaking into your house, are more like more American fears are ghosts and witches.
I mean, I was thinking in a more traditional movie, that character would be seen to be a witch, I think.
Yeah. And like even all of the things that they play pranks on her would be construed as like witch related things, and like her sapping the energy of the brother would also be witch related. It seems a very European touch to make it vampiric in nature.
It also feels like interesting because this movie is permeated with death, so it has a fear of death, but vampires live forever. So I don't quite understand that connection here.
That's my other. This movie is surrounded by death.
Yeah.
He watches his father burn alive. All his friends drop like flies around him. And everyone is afraid of death. Everyone is afraid of loss. His brother's come back from somewhere where he like rained death down upon others and now is suffering a slow death himself. So it's very, very, very preoccupied with death from the perspective of someone who's only just now discovering life. So it's very interesting to it be mostly afraid of vampirism, which I guess kind of makes sense. He seems excited about the teenagers. He seems excited about the car that's rolling through town. He doesn't want to tell anyone about this car rolling through town because he wants to keep it as a secret for himself. He seems excited about it, and he seems afraid of the idea of the vampire. He seems afraid of living forever, which maybe is a comment on the life he is leading at this time with, a very abusive mother, a very bizarre existence in which he's forced to grow up very, 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 very fast. And this movie does, like, in its cinematography, have a severe love for nature. So thematically,
it's really
like,
beautiful.
Having respect and admiration for death and fearing the, like, quote unquote amoral idea of living forever, I can kind of see that. What I found most beautiful about this movie was, like, connecting with nature and connecting with yourself and your childhood in nature, which is not something that I had a lot of opportunities to do where I grew up, and I had a lot of fear of nature. So a lot of this worked for me better than, Days of Heaven or some of those Terrence Malick movies about similar topics do. But
it's interesting hearing you say all of that, because, like, based on where he comes from and the circumstances that he lives within, it's not surprising that he escapes into fantasy. It's a bit, honestly, it's like Dorothy from Wizard of Oz going to Oz, right? Like, it's not a coincidence that character comes from Kansas. Like the most plain, rugged, somewhat dull landscape that we have. It's interesting. Oh, not that this is dull or anything like that. I mean, it immediately brings to mind the painting. I thought it was Edward Hopper, but it's actually Andrew Wyeth. I just looked it up. The painting of the woman crouched down in a field of wheat looking up at the house. Like, the whole movie looks exactly like that painting. It's really gorgeous.
It's really stunning. Even the interiors are fucking gorgeous. I keep say China Blue, which is the character from Crimes of Passion. Dolphin Blue's house is beautiful because her deceased husband's family was all in whaling. So the interior of the house is all nautical themed in the middle of this arid, like, harvest landscape around that. So there's, like, a very well used harpoon that is then gifted to this boy. Truly Chekhov's harpoon. And, like, it's I just love the contrast of a house full of all this nautical stuff that as soon as you look out the window, it's just like dead wheat. It makes me think of, there's a great line in Wes Anderson's The Life Aquatic, in which he finally meets Owen Wilson, who's his long lost son, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're from Kentucky. Beautiful parts out there. Landlocked though." It's like, you only just different worlds entirely.
I mean, very farmhouse chic, this movie. I think Joanna Gaines would love it. She'd be loving the shiplap that's everywhere.
It's a very cozy movie.
Very
like
cozy.
I could see a lot of, like, 2023 like hipsters would be, like, trying to buy these houses for a lot of money.
I mean,
and, like,
it looks just like the Kinfolk cookbook I have on my kitchen counter right now. You know what I mean? It's very Wise Blood the band. Anything else to say about this before we move on?
I think it's fabulous. I think it's, not perfect, but I think it's absolutely worth a look. I think it's very overlooked, and I think you should give it a shot.
And I think with time, I might come to see the imperfections as, like, good, actually, like wabi sabi, sort of like, is this going to be a movie like Picnic at Hanging Rock that, as that filmmaker says, you continue to watch it in your mind after the movie? Like, well, I think about this in 3 years, and, like, it might be one of those movies. I think time will tell for me.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad that we watched it. I'm glad that it was one that you got to discover. And I think we're both more richer for having seen it, and that for it being in the world. I'm excited to see his other 90s movie, The Passion of Darkly Noon.
Apparently,
with Brendan Fraser.
They're a sort of unofficial trilogy. His 3 movies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to give them a watch.
This is on Peacock right now if anyone wants to go and watch it. let's play Have They Seen It? The game where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen this movie. We were just talking about her. She is one half of the legendary HGTV series Fixer Upper. Do you think that farmhouse influencer Joanna Gaines or her husband Chip Gaines have seen this movie?
No fucking way.
She actually has really good taste. I mean, farmhouse is a really good interior aesthetic if you're actually doing it. Like, you can't use signs that say like eat or whatever or gather. Like, you can't buy it at Home Goods.
Yeah.
If you have something that's 100 years old from a farmhouse, it's going to be really beautiful. But
yes, this is true. I'm sure they both have great taste, but I can't see them, or to be honest, anyone who hosts an HGTV show watching a weird, slightly experimental 90s independent art house movie like this. I feel like if she's gonna, like, I'm sure she has like very nice film taste. For me, I feel like if she's gonna put on a more artsy film choice when she's like cuddling up in her lovely little wooden home, I feel like she's gonna be putting on Douglas Sirk movies. I feel like she's gonna be putting on like Michael Curtiz movies, like Mildred Pierce. I feel like she's been putting on Written on the Wind, All That Heaven Allows. All That Heaven Allows is also one of the most chic, like, farmhouse kind of movies ever. He literally converts a barn into like an apartment for them. It's hot. I feel like that's the stuff that she's gonna be putting on. I feel like she's gonna be putting on like Meet Me in St. Louis and like Judy Garland.
I bet she likes old musicals a lot.
And that's also art house. That's also still like artistic chic, like thought out filmmaking. It's just different. I feel like this is a bit more edgy.
I'm like 5 seconds away from starting a podcast about interior design in horror movies. Starting with Rosemary's Baby. Oh
my lord.
So we think the Joanna Gaines is a no.
I think no, but
no
you could contradict.
I think you're actually giving her too much credit. I don't think she watches anything cool at all, as much as I like that.
Do you think she just sits in a white room and eats saltines until people say action?
I think her kids are watching Frozen and she's like on her computer.
That's fair.
You know?
She got a couple iPad kids, and that's a choice.
I bet she works really hard too. Like, I bet she's constantly on SketchUp for clients and for the show and stuff, just like drawing layouts on SketchUp.
So this is technically a vampire movie, and one of our favorite vampire movies that we've talked about on this show already is The Hunger. It's the fucking tits. And that movie stars a famous rock musician who was really big in the 80s, not David Bowie, Peter Murphy of the band Bauhaus, Bauhaus or whatever, Bauhaus, and the writer, of course, of the incredible song Bela Lugosi's Dead. Do you think Peter Murphy has seen The Reflecting Skin?
I feel like he would like it if he had.
I feel like he'd dig it.
You know what song I love by him is Cuts You Up from like his solo career.
Yes.
I just love a cello in a pop song. I don't think, my instinct is to say that he hasn't seen it, but that he would really like it if he did.
I agree. I feel like maybe he saw it in the 90s and really dug it. I feel like there's a possibility someone gifted him a VHS tape in 92 or something, and he really liked it, but hasn't thought about it since then. But I feel like he would dig it.
Yeah, me too.
My stepdad, when I was in high school, was like a really big Bauhaus fan, and he would like, Peter Murphy was touring at that time, and he took my mom to multiple Peter Murphy shows, and he would come back that night being like, oh my god, that was fucking great, and he'd like walk through the room, and my mom would come in after and be like, I don't fucking get it. He's just like a weird dude, like he just flashing a light in his face the whole show. What the hell was that?
I thought Patty was cooler than that. Patty doesn't get Bauhaus.
She doesn't get Peter Murphy.
Right, well,
she's very cool. She's great, and she listens to every episode of the show, which made me
Patty.
feel really weird about. Which made me feel really weird about us doing Singapore Sling. Yeah. I should have thought that one through.
I have to take Patty's hot yoga class next time I'm in Carmel, which will be right after Christmas.
You do!
Because I love hot yoga.
You do! Well, I'm bullying her to come to California for Christmas, so we'll see.
Okay. So this movie is a British man's interpretation of America, so naturally it's filmed in Canada. Do you think that Canadian filmmaking legend Guy Maddin has seen this?
I knew you were going to say that. I think, yeah. I feel like Guy Maddin would fucking love this movie. I feel like this is right down the center Guy Maddin's sense of weird. Guy Maddin also, I feel like, only watches silent films. But I feel like he's like, Lon Chaney's not in it, I'm not interested. Like, I feel like that's his world, and that's great. Yeah. But I feel like he definitely has seen this movie. I feel like he really, really digs this movie. I feel like he probably texts Philip Ridley. I feel like they probably know each other.
I'd buy that. I'm really curious to read a Philip Ridley play, because apparently he invented a genre of play that was called in-your-face theater, and I kind of get the sense that he was like London's It Boy playwright in the 90s. So I'd be curious. He has a play called Pitchfork Disney, which is a great title. And
that's incredible. I need to read that. I like the phrase "in your face" play because that just makes me think of Waiting for Guffman when he talks about doing Backdraft the musical.
They put fire in the air ducts so the audience can smell the smoke. Yeah,
because people don't like a cinder poked in their noses.
I love that movie so much.
This is like you were just saying, this is a British man's interpretation of America. Mm-hmm. And some of my favorite movies are British people interpreting America with scathing views of America. And I think one of the absolute best and most consistent, both on America, North America as a continent, on Mexico and everything like that, is Alex Cox, the director of Sid and Nancy and Repo Man. Repo Man and Walker being two of the best critiques of America ever made, ever. Do you think Alex Cox, former film professor, and host of Moviedrome or Videodrome, the TV show in England during the 90s and 2000s. Do you think he has seen Reflecting Skin?
For sure. But I also feel like someone like him, a filmmaker like him, or Guy Maddin for that matter, I kind of get the sense that they just see everything. But maybe that's not right. Mm-hmm. Unless we're talking about David Lynch, who famously doesn't watch movies. But otherwise, I feel like most filmmakers watch as much as they can, but that might not be right.
My favorite instance of that not being the case is that on the press junket for like, I would say like Mother or something like that, someone was like doing a Q&A with Darren Aronofsky, and one of the like audience members was like, this really reminded me of like Mario Bava. Can you talk about blah, blah, blah? And he just picked up the mic and was like, I have no idea who Mario Bava is. Next. And I was just like, oh, you're a fucking idiot, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe, but I also appreciate the honesty. At least he didn't pretend to know who Mario Bava is. Like,
that's fair. But there's like, someone made a supercut of him like admitting that he doesn't know who a lot of like really big filmmakers are. And it's honestly, between that and him wanting to make that Elon Musk movie, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot.
You know, I have to say, there's somebody really cool who wants to come on and do his movie Mother. So we should talk about that soon, because there's a lot to be said about Darren Aronofsky.
There's a lot to be said about that man. And I will say, I do like Mother.
I didn't like it, but I am excited to rewatch it and maybe reevaluate. But
it's interesting. It's a fun ride, if anything. Yeah.
Wait, did you do your, have they seen it? Wait, who was it? Oh, yes, it was Alex Cox.
It was Alex Cox, right. Yeah.
That's it for this episode of Bloodhouse then. If you liked this, please rate it 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. You can email us at bloodhousepod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram. Drusilla, where are you?
You can find me on Instagram at Hyde Sister, and you can find me on Letterboxd. If you look for Drusilla Adeline or Sister Hyde, you'll find me over there. And all the art house movies I've been watching. You can also go to my website, sisterhydedesign.com, and buy Kier prints. They're selling out. They're $35, and they look beautiful. Josh, what about you? Where can people find you?
I am at Joshua Conkle on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Now, next week, I'm really looking forward to it because it's a movie, this hasn't happened in a while. It's a movie that both of us love and have seen a couple of times.
Love. Yeah.
So it's always nice when we know that we both love the movie because it feels comfy.
We are watching one of the most primo, genuinely scary art house queer horror shockers of the past 20 years, if not ever. directed by the incredible Erlinger Torrenson. Rift.
Can't wait. Love that one. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.